Pedals and effects, pedals and effects, pedals and effects. Adventure Audio Again pedal. Again, tell me what this is all about.
The Again pedal by the Adventure Audio fellas is a good old-fashioned, really good modulation delay. Y'all heard of the Ibanez, I always forget the name of that series. The kind of like boxy looking ones. Do you have any of those?
30.
Oh yeah, you don't have. No, fool. Those are the tone lock. You don't have fucking 30. You have one. It's that Session Man. Keep going. There you go.
Isn't that?
Well, you have two of them. You have two of them.
I have a couple more.
This series, which this has nothing to do with what we're fucking talking about right now, other than there's a modulation delay. There's 3 modulation delays from that series, which I remember I got a couple of those on tour in like 2004 in pawn shops for $30. Now they're really expensive, but it's the modulation delay sound that goes like very like bizarre, probably maybe unusable sound that some people
I gotta find one. I don't know where to get them. You bought them all up.
I know.
I wish I had one.
I have a couple of them.
I wish I had one.
You have the better one. You have the fucking multiplay. It's the multiplay.
Got it.
There you go.
But it doesn't sample.
What doesn't sample?
The Ibanez.
That's correct. Exactly.
And
so that's why it's better. Bingo. So this guy is a modulation delay pedal, but what makes this thing extra special is it has CV inputs for all the different controls on there. So that applies to the Euro rack world.
Definitely.
Which I don't know anything about. I know nothing about Euro rack except that it's expensive and that we have some friends that do it, but I'm not interested in Euro rack.
Because it's like, imagine that every pedal you purchase starts at like $350 and goes higher, and then you got to buy all the cabling and shit, and you have to buy the racks for it, and then try to go gig with it. Like, oh, dude, you want to play a gig on Thursday, and you got to bring your Euro rack shit, and then you have to buy a little suitcase, and you don't only have... Anyway, it's cool, but...
Yeah, it's just... It's
not us.
It's a big thing. It's like, I could throw together like a pedal board in an hour at my house and be stoked with
I've seen it.
Whereas like I think with the Euro rack stuff, and maybe when I'm like in 20 years I'll be like, oh cool, I want to get into this, but I'm not into it yet. But these dudes are following in the footsteps of people like Pittsburgh Modular, who are trying to bridge the gap between guitar pedals and Euro rack modular type stuff, right? So basically, I'm like pretty ignorant to CV, which is controlled voltage, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I know all about that. All I know is that basically you can sync up different devices. For instance, a kick drum on a Euro rack thing. If you were to dial in some fucking blip thing to be like a kick drum, you could send that kick drum whatever CV LFO or whatever it is, the blinking, that's doing this boom,
pulse,
boom, the pulse, and then you could plug that into one of these guys and have it
activate
one of these. So for instance, the delay time, which on this particular pedal is really easy to demonstrate what's happening with this when you're using the delay time, because it's like having an expression pedal and going, doing this. So you basically what you'd be doing is like cranking the knob. It's like if you were bending over and like turning the knob at a pulse from whatever signal it was coming from. So that's what makes this really interesting. But so when Christian from Adventure Audio was like, hey, I think you and Juan really like this thing. We're trying to get into this like bridging the gap world, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, dude, we don't know anything about Euro rack. I don't
a little.
You may know a little. I don't know any. I've already full disclosure explained what I know about it. So what Christian said was, well, actually, you can connect other pedals that have CV outs on them into this guy. So you could have like 2 pedals like basically interacting with each other, communicating with each other. And he happened to say, will you grab that guy right there?
Oh, I sure will, Nick.
This guy, Mr. Ben and Louise at Dwarfcraft, they are already on top of this, that's in. So that'd be CV in on that side. And here's the out on this side. So the LFO out or whatever, which is the rate. And this is a tremolo pedal, the Twin Stags Tremolo. So essentially what you could do with this is take the rate and whatever the rate is set at, send that on over to here. So then the delay time, pulse is going to match the rate of a tremolo pedal, which makes for really interesting things. So then you open up this whole other can of worms of like, well, what other pedals do we have on our shelves, or you at home, that has this weird little fucking 1/8" jack that you never even cared about, like, which I've never cared about before. I saw that, I'm like, I don't know what that does. Forget about it. But now it's like, oh, well, that actually, you create a new pedal, a new sound by having these two communicate to one another. Or again, if you have Eurorack stuff, and all the crazy cables and all that shit. So that's what this is. So this thing's really, really interesting. And I don't know, I'm sure there's like weirdos that are already on this that like we don't know about. There's probably people doing like more CV type stuff, but this is the first one that's come across our radar. And I showed it to you. I came over here and you're like, what is that thing? I'm like, well, let me show you. And you seem pretty stoked on it.
But yeah, I'll tell you this. Outside of just plugging into this shit with the CV, which makes it different, it's a dope delay. It is. It's super tight.
That's the thing that they were also explaining too, is like they just wanted to do a really good delay pedal that you don't even need to ever look at these little holes here. They
it's
can just
awesome.
Yeah. So, it's a really, really cool modulation delay. So there you go.
Yeah,
Adventure Audio.
I don't expect those blues lawyers purchasing that.
But here's the thing. They could. A blues lawyer.
Because they can afford it, one.
And you could just get a delay sound out of this. You get a nice modulated, like when I described the modulated delay and I went brink, 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 you don't have to like have it that fucked up and crazy. You could have it be like a nice kind of a chorusy sound on your, delayed notes or whatever. So
that's like you're giving props to the blues lawyers.
Totally. I might end up a blues lawyer, so you never know.
What are you in law school right now?
Okay, here we go. Talking about the Again pedal from Adventure Audio. We're not talking about Dwarfcraft Twin Stags, although this is a really, really cool tremolo pedal, dual tremolo. We're just going to be using this to control, for controlled voltage. So let's just see what the Again sounds like as a delay pedal on its own. Okay, so we're on. Let's see what this is set at with no, right?
No CVs.
No CV for now.
Nothing's getting triggered.
Nope. That's like enough for freaky deeks. You know what I mean? That's a really cool delay sound.
Hell yeah.
For, an available pedal that you just go online and add to cart instead of fucking searching for Craigslist for hours. Knobs, it's so standard. Depth, rate, that's for your modulation. Feedback, cool. Blend, volume, and your delay time. And then the 1, 2, and 3, which actually is kind of similar to the old Ibanez pedals too, is like your amounts of delay time. So 1 is really short, right? 2, a little longer. 3. And actually, remember when we did the Chase Bliss Mood? Remember?
Absolutely.
How like when you use that center knob that we were so confused by but stoked on, you would get that really jacked up kind of like really shitty bit rate sound. This kind of does that. Check it out.
Long delay time.
I want this pedal for that sound by itself. Okay.
So you've already purchased it if you're on Amazon.
Yes. I don't know that these guys have distribution through Amazon, but that would be fucking cool. I would Amazon Prime this fucking thing. So, okay. So now I feel like it's best to explain the CV shit by going into the delay time, having the blend dimed. Let's not even mess with the modulation stuff, volume up.
Wait a second, what does CV mean again?
Controlled voltage, right? So now you see this guy, okay. Let's get the rate up a little more. Okay, there you go. So there's what our LFO is doing.
You know what I noticed? Both those lights are in sync now, Nick.
Oh, you're right. That is so cool. And that just is like, that's some science right there. You just, all you have to do is plug this little guy from there into there, and all of a sudden, these guys are talking to each other. So this pedal doesn't even need to be on for it to be communicating, right? So right now, exactly, when I turn this on, we're going to be like slamming the delay time knob at whatever rate this is going. So it's either going to go super fast or we're going to go slow. And I feel like right around here is probably going to be a very good rate to demonstrate what's happening. So here we go. Check it out. So there you go. That's really simple. That's what it does. So you plug that into any one of these and you're going to like go very, very deep on, you know, a new sound, because then you turn this thing on and check it out. So let's see if we can make something cool and unique sounding with both these guys going at the same time. Check out, just for shits and giggles, here's what the Dwarfcraft Twin Stag sounds like. We've done a tremolo video with this guy. Love it. Okay, so here's with the Stags CV out into the again. That totally sounds like some CV shit that you hear from like, you know, guys that tweak on that stuff.
Dude,
you know,
CV on
like,
the radio, bro.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to get on the radio, you're going to need this CV setup. See what I mean by new sound? And then, of course, what you do is you plug in an expression pedal into this, so then you're controlling the rate. Instead of turning it by a knob, you're controlling it with the expression pedal, right? So then there's just so many crazy things.
Functions upon functions upon functions.
Exactly.
Dope.
And again, you don't need to have this turned on in order to be, you know, utilizing the CV from it, which is cool because maybe you don't want that sound. Maybe you just want a very steady pulse hitting your delay time or whatever. And okay, so let's do feedback. That's rad.
Sick.
That's exactly Eurorack dudes. That sounds like a Eurorack guy, like coming up with like a fucking a German techno thing or some shit.
Basic. What do you think of this?
I got it from over here. Thank you. Yeah, so
Sick.
So this is without no CV. This is just the delay pedal right now.
Did you guys hear that? Nick's right here. He's just telling us how it is. Ready? I want to go with some funky ass bass lines.
Okay, no CV. Let's just get a nice classic delay sound.
We're fucking geniuses.